Good afternoon, everyone. It's 3 o'clock, so it's time for the weekly briefing brought to you by the Langston University Emergency Leadership Team. I'm Dr. Ruth Jackson, and as always, I'm joined by the members of the Executive Policy Group, Dean Snavely from School of Business, Dean Busby from Student Affairs, Mrs. Powell, Chief of Staff in the Office of the President, and Chief Holland of LUPD. Today we'll start our weekly webinar with an overview or an update on the CARES Act HBCU grants. We'll also provide our weekly update of COVID-19 cases. We'll spend some time walking through the event and meeting protocols of the university. It's homecoming week, so we will talk a little bit about the homecoming 2020 activities, and we'll reflect on resilience. So the application period for the Langston University CARES Act HBCU grant has closed. The review process for eligibility has taken place, and so 841 applicants have been verified of the over 1,000 total applicants. The grant committee, the HBCU grant committee, is still in the process of reviewing and has started the notification process. Again, this will conclude by Friday, October 23rd, at which point all of the students' notifications will be sent. So I'll turn it over to Mrs. Powell, who will provide our COVID-19 update. Mrs. Powell.
Thanks, Dr. Jackson. Good afternoon. So as we've done on our weekly webinars, we are bringing to you now what is a weekly update on the COVID-19 numbers for the local campus vicinity, the Logan County where the campus is located, and of course the full state numbers for COVID-19 cases. So we moved last week to show a weekly increase, and we've continued with that this week as well. So as you'll see on the screen, the Oklahoma cases are now over 100,000 as of today at noon. That's an 8.9% weekly increase over last week's update. The active cases also 13,812, 8.2% weekly update. And the death count, unfortunately, reached over 1,000. So that's a 4.6% weekly update. For the Logan County, where the Langston campus is located, we have seen a 14.8% weekly increase with 653 cases throughout the county. We've seen a decrease in the active cases. So we currently have 126 active cases throughout the county. And thankfully, we have had no increase in the deaths throughout the county. For the Langston campus, we currently have 33 total cases and only 5 active cases. We wanted to bring you, as we talked through our event and meeting protocols, some information from the CDC on exactly what the risk is for the spread of COVID-19 in terms of events and meetings. So we've ranked them as the CDC does from the lowest risk to the highest risk. You'll see on the screen the lowest risk is our virtual only activities, such as our homecoming activities that we'll discuss later in the webinar. A slightly more risk is smaller outdoor and in-person gatherings where individuals from different households are gathered, remaining spaced at least 6 feet apart. They're wearing masks, they're not sharing objects, and they're from the same local vicinity. Slightly higher risk than that, medium-sized in-person gatherings that are adapted to allow, again, remaining space, the socially distant metric of at least 6 feet apart, where attendees are coming from outside a local vicinity. They're not within the same community. And the highest risk are the large in-person gatherings where it's very difficult for individuals to remain at a distance of 6 feet or greater. And when individuals are traveling from outside the local area. you'll see as we continue that we used these metrics in determining some of the protocols and procedures that we implemented for our meeting and event protocols. And now I will ask Dean Busby to share more on our events. Dean Busby.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us again today. And so as Mrs. Powell has stated, we are looking to make sure that we remind our university community about what our protocols are as it relates to events on campus. And so, of course, if you did not know that our university-sponsored events have moved online, everything is working in a virtual capacity. Any in-person events that are recommended must have a detailed safety plan. And in that safety plan, we ask that strict social distancing strategies and guidance be included in that. And of course, that plan will have to be reviewed, vetted, and approved by the emergency leadership team. And so that is what our event protocols have been, and that's what they will continue to be for the foreseeable future. And at this time, I will turn it over to Dean Snavely to talk more about our meeting protocols.
Thanks, Dean Busby, and good afternoon, everyone. I think just as a general rule, we should all be thinking, whether it's an event or it's a meeting, the general rule now, based on the data and the science and our protocols, is to hold either an event or a meeting in a virtual format, if it can be. And then the exception to that rule would be these limited cases where we might authorize something for any particular reason that it cannot be done at all, this meeting or this event in a virtual setting. So just keep that in mind as our general rule. The goal of that, as Mrs. Powell outlined in those guidelines that help prevent spread, is to just minimize those face-to-face interactions. And so we'd ask you to think about that whenever you do hold whenever you do hold or have to hold a meeting. And when you're traveling throughout different spaces, when you're not in your office, when you're not in a classroom, when you're not in your home space, be thinking about the things you can do to limit that interaction. Always be wearing your mask when you're in these areas, and think through social distancing strategies that can help, again, another layer of mitigation. So using larger rooms rather than smaller offices. Standing in the doorway, perhaps, instead of going all the way in and sitting down. If the spacing in the room isn't spaced out already, take the time to make that spacing arrangements to ensure that you keep at least 6 feet of distance. Another piece that we, through the Office of Public Relations, have created is some virtual resources to make these virtual events and meetings easier and be able to accomplish them in a way that's professional. And so we thank the Office of Public Relations for putting together some Zoom-related information and materials. You can find them on the website. Here you'll see they have created LU branded Zoom backgrounds as some different templates that people can use when launching or having a meeting or an event, as well as LU branded PowerPoint presentation templates. There's also a list of additional resources there that we'd ask you to check out and think about as you plan and prepare for the various meetings that you might need to attend. One of the keys in all of this that you've just heard me and Dean Busby talk about is the importance of masks, that continues. And so I'd ask Chief Holland to talk a little bit about the importance and the way that you wear a mask. Chief?
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. So first, I want to tell you, as far as wearing masks correctly, you want to make sure to wash your hands before putting the mask on. That's most important. You want to put the mask over your nose and your mouth to secure it under your chin as well. You also want to make sure that it fits snugly underneath your chin as well as on the side of your face, and make sure you can also breathe easily. The CDC does not recommend use of mask or cloth mask for source control if they have exhalation valve or venting. So to speak further on how to protect others, I will pass it to Mrs. Powell.
Thank you, Chief. So some reminders around mask wearing. So the whole point of wearing a mask is really to protect others, specifically for those of us or those of us in our community that may be infected with COVID-19 and are asymptomatic, are not showing symptoms. The mask is really for the protection of others when you are in that local vicinity. So you want to make sure you're wearing a mask that covers your nose and your mouth in case you don't have symptoms. Wear a mask always when you're in a public setting, when you're around people that do not share your household, when you don't live with the same people, or when it's difficult to remain socially distant at 6 feet or greater distance apart. That could be in a hallway, in a stairwell. As Dean Snavely mentioned, if you're in an office setting, consider not entering an office and just having a conversation from the distance of a hallway or a doorway if you can, to keep that distance as recommended by the CDC and other authorities. Some reminders: don't put the mask around your neck or wear it below your chin. That is not an effective use of the mask, and it actually can reduce the effectiveness of the mask itself. And don't touch the mask. If you do touch your mask, make sure you're sanitizing your hands and washing them very well. That hand sanitizer is great, and we have those stationed throughout the campuses, but it does not replace washing your hands. So make sure if you are touching your mask, if you're adjusting your mask, the next thing that you should do is to wash your hands. And I will now ask Dr. Jackson to give us a reminder on our notification protocols that we discussed on last week's webinar. Dr. Jackson.
I'd like to remind everyone about the circumstances under which you should complete a notification. Remember, in these 3 instances, notification to the ELT is required using the notification form. So if you have tested positive for COVID-19, complete a notification form. If you're experiencing symptoms of COVID-19, as outlined by the CDC, complete a notification form. And finally, if you've been exposed to anyone with a confirmed case of COVID-19, please complete a notification form. Remember, it is the same form required for all 3 circumstances. And you can locate that form on the Langston University COVID-19 resource page, where we've noted, click here at the bottom of the gray box. You click there and it will take you to the notification form, or you can scan the QR code for a copy of the form. It's very important that everyone in our university community understands and recognizes when to make the notification and can point someone to the location of the form on our website. So now for a preview of this week's exciting virtual homecoming events, I'll turn it over to Dean Busby.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And so this week was slated to be one of the biggest weeks on our campus of the year. Always an exciting time of the year to welcome our alum and friends back to the campus. But unfortunately, of course, due to the pandemic, we were not able to do that. But that does not mean that the pride is not still united. And we are happy to bring to you LU Homecoming 2020, a virtual celebration. We kicked that off on yesterday with a series of events. And as you can see there are daily events that are included there. We definitely want you to make sure that you pay attention to the langston.edu/homecoming website for any and all updates. There's some additional information there as well. But for our faculty and friends, we'd like to encourage you to get involved in our Luna virtual run. The Langston University National Alumni Association has a virtual run that you can participate in all throughout the week. For our colleagues on all of our campuses, also we have our yard and office decorating contest. And that also is going on throughout the week as well. There's been a series of emails that have gone out from the Office of Public Relations about that contest, and so there's a registration form just to let us know that you or your office is planning to participate. I know that our colleagues over in Tulsa at the LU Tulsa campus are looking to reclaim the crown. They won on last year. I believe the year before that it was LU Oklahoma City, and so we're so thankful for just the aura and the time of year that it is to continue to celebrate homecoming, even though it's different this year. But very excited. As you can see there, twice a day as well, we have what we're calling our virtual mixes with several of our alums that are DJs that are going to be presenting and doing some mixes for about an hour or so. And that's streamed through our Langston University social media platform on Facebook. And so make sure to like the Langston University Facebook page as well. And as we go to the next slide, I want to look at something that's also a little different this year. We are offering our Esports Tournament that is featuring three of the more popular games that are out right now, which is NBA 2K21, the newest basketball game, Madden 21, the newest football game, and then Modern Warfare, which is a action game, if you will, that's open to all students and alum. And as you can see, yes, there are cash prizes that are available there for the winners. I do believe that the registration may is now closed, but nonetheless, you can still watch. And if you go back or go to the website, you can see the links to watch the finals towards the end of this week. I mean, literally, you can just watch the finals and watch that in real time, if you will, as those competitors compete for the crown. One thing that I did not mention, and I apologize for that, but our Department of Athletics, all of our programs, our sports programs, are presenting Letterman hours throughout the week as well, which will allow them to showcase the program, the coaching staff, our student athletes as well. And we know that homecoming wouldn't be homecoming without athletics. And so we absolutely wanted to make sure that we included AD Rogers and her staff as well as our student athletes. And we're so excited, and we'd ask for you to get engaged, get involved, and enjoy this week with us. That is Homecoming 2020. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jackson, who's going to talk more about our fall career fair.
Thank you, Dean. In addition to all of those exciting virtual homecoming activities this week, we will also host our Fall 2020 Career Fair. It too will be a virtual fair. And so this year we have over 50 vendors who will host virtual sessions so that you can learn more about the companies and the organizations. Students are encouraged to visit Handshake to sign up and create an account in order to participate in the career fair. Once the students registered, you'll see all of the vendors available. Faculty, please encourage your students to participate. Some people think that the career fair is simply for seniors and those who are getting ready to enter the job market, but we're encouraging our younger students, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, sign up through Handshake so that you can participate in the career fair as well. Many of the companies and organizations are looking for students to offer internships. And so we want to do all that we can to make this opportunity available for our students. Remember to use your LU branded Zoom templates for your sessions and sign up, because you'll have a chance to win Langston University swag, prizes, and there will even be giveaways, including laptops. So please, this is a great opportunity for our students to engage, and faculty, staff, please encourage our students to participate. We are also in the process of planning for the 15th Annual President's Scholarship Gala. This gala will also be a virtual experience that will be shared through Facebook Premiere. So this is going to be a 1-hour virtual experience, It's scheduled for Thursday, October 29th at 7 o'clock. And so although this is a different experience, we're hoping that it will give more people an opportunity to engage. And remember that even though the format is a little bit different, the need for scholarships remains the same. And so we're encouraging everyone to participate and keep your eyes open for more information about the President's Scholarship Gala, again scheduled for Thursday, October 29th at 7 o'clock. So with that, we'll pause and entertain any questions that you may have. If you have questions, please post them in the chat or in the Q&A. Okay. So there is a question about Handshake. Some students are saying that they could not register for Handshake in order to participate in the career fair. If you or your students have questions about registration, you may contact Dr. Jason Johnson, who's the Vice President for Student Success. He can be reached at jason.k.johnson@langston.edu. He can provide any information that you need related to the career fair. He shared the list of the list of companies and organizations will be there, and he can give you clear directions about Handshake. So thank you for that question. Okay. So if there are no additional questions, we'll move on to our section on reflecting on resilience. So this week, we want to highlight our graduating class of 2020. So we continue to be in touch with our recent graduates. As you all know, we made the very difficult decision in the spring to postpone commencement because of the ongoing pandemic. At that time, none of us could have even known that COVID-19 would still be going on, nor could we understand the impact that this has had on every facet of our lives. So after the administration met with representatives of the senior class, the university's commencement committee continues to meet, as well as the involvement of the emergency leadership team. We've decided to celebrate our graduates by holding a commencement virtually. The decision to do this is certainly with the safety and well-being of our campus community in mind, but we did not want to miss the opportunity to celebrate our graduates. And so our virtual commencement celebration will occur on Saturday, November 21st at 10 o'clock Central. And stay tuned for additional information. The committee is working very hard to make this a special observance of this monumental milestone. And so you're going to see some of the same components of our in-person ceremony, but it will be in a virtual environment. So again, please stay tuned. So this brings us to the end of our weekly webinar. Next week, please join us Monday, October 18th at 3 o'clock as usual. And so until then, Lions, take care.